Hope y'all are doing well. Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy Friday. Good seeing you all again. Here we have a recap video of some of the topics we've been discussing over the past few days on our web series. Welcome back to the red pill versus the blue pill, where basically we are unleashing our potential as deprescribing advocates and learning how to break through from this matrix that we're stuck in with our broken healthcare system. So I am Dr. Delon Canterbury. I am the CEO and founder of the Deprescribing Accelerator, as well as Geriatric, which is a telehealth-based comprehensive medication management company where we focus on deprescribing using pharmacogenomics, as well as our expertise as a board-certified geriatric pharmacist. So welcome back. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in live. This is going to be a brief recap video again. Over the past few days, we talked about some of the pain points that I had and that I had to face in my initial falling out of love with pharmacy, with healthcare, with the way things were really going. And it kind of had me in a dark place that led me to creating geriatrics and becoming the advocate that I felt that we all can be in the senior care space. So on one of our first episodes, we talked about fear. We talked about really those growing pains in entrepreneurship, like what I had to learn as I was really forced into this world of serving. And yeah, there are going to be some hiccups. There are going to be some, tough times with this, but this, this led to me finally feeling like I had a purpose in what I was doing and how I showed up for my patients and in my alignment with the creator, and something that was lacking for my 5 years as a pharmacy manager in retail health that I was in. So I stepped down. I started looking for ways to advocate and use my credential as a geriatric pharmacist and wanted to bring that education to the people who need it most, the caregivers, the community, those who are facing basically these problems day in, day out, unsure who to really ask or go to when it comes to getting their loved one off of these meds. So I learned very quickly that I cannot do this alone. There's such a huge need. There's an overabundance of over-medicated patients. I mean, and this is what I saw in my journey from public speaking, from doing at the beginning complimentary med reviews, like just to get my feet wet and figure out what are people saying. And it got me realizing there is a wealth of opportunity. Whether you're working with nursing homes or adult daycare facilities, or even as a referral source for people who are in the geriatric space, they need pharmacists. They need us to be loud and proud about this issue of over-medicating because it's impacting their quality of life. It's impacting how long they can really independently and gracefully age in place, which is the goal, to stay at home and not have a poor quality of life. So we talked about one of our first patients who was over-medicated and was on 36 medications. Don't know how. Well, I do know how, but prescribing cascades, polypharmacy, lack of care, all the above led to this 70-year-old woman being over-medicated. And we talked about how we were able to deprescribe her and get her down to 8. But more than that, we talked about the rough patches. Not everyone knows or really cares about what pharmacists can do. And I'm talking about insurers. The community knows that we're one of the most trusted professionals, but they don't know outside of putting your name on a bottle and slapping these pills by 5, right? We don't know that. And so it took some time for me to start seeing that there has to be a better way of educating and showing the value of what we bring outside of what they've pretty much thought all their lives about pharmacists and retail. So there was an initial barrier. There's an educational gap. I get it. But I think people are starting to see more the versatility of what we can really offer and bring to the table. So in that being said, once you start preaching the gospel, which is we need to head on address the elephant in the room, which is we have an over-medicated society, an over-medicated world, and we as patients are at fault too for just thinking and only wanting a quick fix, without hitting the root cause issues. And I think that's the tenet of value-based care, is providing the quality that's sustainable, getting reimbursed for that sustainable quality that you're bringing to the table, and doing what we're supposed to do for our patients, not serving by nonsense 90-day metrics and BS markers and how many flu shots can you put in someone's arm and how many per hour. Like, we're not meant to be machines. We're not meant to be a fee-for-service model. As pharmacists, we are meant to provide value. And so we got to get this thought process that we're just dispensers, but we are intrinsically consultants. We are by nature consultants. We are the experts at deprescribing, but we haven't unleashed that secret power yet. And that's okay. I'm here to be the Morpheus, so to speak, the chief deprescriber, so people can get comfortable seeing that there is a way out, and there is a way to take the red pill and unveil the truth and really unleash your full potential as a pharmacist or senior care facing clinician who's passionate about this mission for stopping harmful meds in seniors. So what did we talk about? We talked first in our first video about how senior care pharmacists, geriatric pharmacists are actually missing out on money by leveraging deprescribing. Like I said, there are way more over-medicated seniors than pharmacists in this country. We have less and less senior care providers. We have less and less geriatricians. We have less and less beds for nursing homes for our seniors. We are honestly crippling at the seams as it comes to this breakdown in care, from discharge to transitions of care to this medical home model, to basically where people are honestly being forced to be admitted into hospitals that are acting as surrogate nursing homes, because we have a housing crisis affiliated and exacerbating the issue. And there's a core problem with our social barriers to care. There are social determinants that are leading to this blight, frankly. So there's a lot more we can do. And so when we really fine tune the messaging of deprescribing, of, well, showing up authentically and serving first and foremost, that's why we got into this profession. So I want you to think about that moment where you felt that warm fuzzy in your heart that this was what you were supposed to be doing. And I want you to remember, how long has it been since you felt that way about your job? Yeah, because I wasn't feeling it at all for years. It was actually getting worse and worse. It was becoming worse and worse as time went along. So I had to get those warm fuzzies back, or else my mental health was going to be in decline, and it significantly was in decline. And there's a better way. There's a better way to do this. So we talked again about preaching the gospel of deprescribing, basically unleashing our true secret power as pharmacists to leverage deprescribing, to monetize deprescribing. And then we went further on and gave some pretty quick tips that people can start using to really start using deprescribing now, not tomorrow, not later, but now. And the first thing we mentioned was getting super comfortable with the beers list, understanding what that means, understanding and getting comfortable with what drugs are on that list, so you can advocate to the best of your ability. And for those who may not have caught it, the beers list, again, is a compendium of the top potentially harmful medications in seniors, and they basically characterize it based on your class of drug, your health condition, your kidney function, liver function, if you have certain allergies, and of course, basic drug interactions, period. But they even, go further and tell you like what is completely contraindicated if you have dementia, or if you maybe have a propensity for falls, right? So the beers list is pretty dope. It's really easy to use it. When I do my deprescribing action plans, I use this every time to make sure I'm not missing anything that's on that list. And then I quote the evidence cited to use this as an advocacy tool for my patients, and of course to empower our providers so that they know for next time. Because let's be real, providers are only doing what they're taught to do. Prescribers are only doing what they're taught to do, and they're taught to treat. They're taught to take care of their patients as best as they can with as little time possible to do what they all want to do. And we know for a fact that going over the meds is not high on the priority list as a prescriber. It's hard to do that because our system, one, doesn't really reimburse for it as well as they should. And two, we don't, of course, integrate pharmacists into these practitioner offices so that we're having intel before we throw pills at people and hope for the best. We don't do that enough. So I'm just calling out what it is. I mean, I've worked in it. I've seen it. This is what my patients tell me. This is what the caregivers say. This is what the nursing home directors say, the wellness directors say. That's all they see is over-medicated seniors. They don't know what to do. So it's just like, well, talk to your doctor. And that's not what works, frankly. I mean, it's what you can try to do, but that's hard. How many of y'all know how hard it is to even get scheduled to see your doctor, let alone talk to them one-on-one, like over the phone? That it's nearly impossible. So there's a lot more we can do. And there's a lot more with the right clinical evidence and tools that you can leverage to make this an easy thing for you to advocate and sell and monetize. So talked about the beers list. We talked about addressing our fears and how the cost of inaction is going to perpetuate you still feeling like you're in hell. The cost of just sitting and overthinking and overanalyzing and just being in this fear mindset is not doing you any favors. And it's also honestly kind of selfish because you have a gift that you are choosing to not share with others and choosing not to advocate because of your ego or your fear or your insecurity when you've already have the gift as pharmacists, as senior facing providers who have a passion for this space to be that person. So don't let fear be the ammo for just inaction, because one, you're still going to be unhappy after. Fear honestly feeds more fear. And then three, you're not living that best life that you thought you would be living because we're in these golden handcuffs of our six-figure salaries and not seeing that there's a way out because we're trapped into this, well, we got to do this to be this. And again, that's leading to 20 years of unhappiness to then eventually retire and then die 5 years. None of us want that. But we want to live in alignment with our passion and why we are here on this planet to serve. And we're here to help each other out. So anyway, we discussed mindset. We talked about making the pharmacist a best friend for building strategic relationships with people. We talked so much about how the need is overwhelmingly large. I mean, I can't be a Delon in every state or every country to talk about deprescribing. So there's always an opportunity for us in this space to not just monetize this, but again, to serve in the way, in the capacity that we've been built to do. So we discussed mindset shifting. We also talked about, again, how I started leveraging deprescribing to get my passion back, to get my fire back, to really reinstill the passion that I lost in the beginning of my career. So I want that for all of you. It doesn't, I promise you, all because you see me doing this live stuff every day does not mean you don't have that same power. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You absolutely can do it. I didn't have any answers. I still don't have all the answers, but I know what works. And I know how you can position yourself to make this viable for you and even better for your patients that you're serving in the senior space. So it's fun. I love doing what I do. I love knowing that this is a lasting impact. I love knowing that my patients send me pictures of their dogs and tell me how their loved ones are doing, or if their dementia is worsening or getting better, or, you know, asking me questions on the fly about OTCs and pharmacogenomics. I love that I have that level of trust and accessibility and touch points, because truly, if you don't have that trust point or empathy, you're not going to be able to really enact change and behavioral changes. And I think healthcare needs to be approached from the level of having first trust. You know, it can't be a a quarterly visit where you just put on affairs. It's like a date, it's like a first date. You're just like putting on your best show and say, yeah, doc, everything's good. And you're just putting on a front when it takes years and years to build trust. And in this space, to really make Deprescribing work, there has to be an aligned mission of what you want to do and what the patient wants to do and what the provider wants to do to make it work. So I love that that's the way I can serve now, and that if I can call up any patient, we can have a casual convo, we can dig into what's going on in their lives, and just shoot stuff, just be real with each other. So it's fulfilling. And I want, again, all of us to approach healthcare this way, but to see that it doesn't have to be this ugly, broken, metrics driven system that is just ugly and just keeps us feeding the machine, right, in the matrix. So that's the recap for this week. So I put some of the links in the video. I wanted to make sure you guys, if you didn't catch it, here's a review. Check out the videos, comment and let me know what was most resonating for you, what was most impactful, what kind of resonated in your spirit. And I would love to hear your thoughts. So we'll have more next week. We will definitely dive more into the intricacies of Deprescribing. And I hope that you'll have an amazing rest of your weeks, and take care. All right. Have a good one.